Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Hey sports fans, are you ready for an exhilarating gaming experience? Introducing VIPclub.lv, your ultimate online sportsbook and casino. VIPclub.lv offers a vast selection of sports, from football and basketball to tennis and baseball. Bet on your favorite teams and enjoy the thrill of the game. But that's not all. Our state-of-the-art online casino offers a dazzling array of games, including slots, blackjack, roulette, and live dealer tables. Win big with their fantastic promotions, rewards, and exclusive offers. Join VIPclub.lv today and get a generous 200% match welcome bonus to start your winning streak. And make sure to use code ECSI at sign-up. Bet it, win it, and cash it at VIPclub.lv. Visit VIPclub.lv now and play responsibly. VIPclub.lv, your sportsbook and casino extravaganza. Must be 21 or older to play. Please gamble responsibly. Visit gambleware.org for help.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Midday Market Report for Friday, June 6, 2023. The weekend is here. Shout out to our new sponsor, VIPclub.lv. Use promo code ECSI. Tell them JD sent you, and they'll take good care of you. The Elite Eight is here. And our 3 men in a box is down to 2 men in a box. The original OG, Mr. Matt Grissom, will be joining us. He is here now in the studio. Quentin Mills, live as the tournament has begun. Oral Roberts TCU has begun. Exciting baseball. Aluminum bats. Where no lead is safe, and I can't wait to pick this guy's brain. Fresh off another VEASAN little segment last night, so we're blessed and honored to have him here, the one and only Mr. Matt Grissom.
What's up, Jeff?
Afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. We're 12 pitches in. Oral Roberts is making Cole Klecker work. This is interesting. He's only got 1 out, 12 pitches in. So this should be a good game. I figure a lot of nerves in this one. Oral Roberts being the Cinderella, TCU being the team that got hot late. Now it's time to settle down and see what you're made of. I think it'll be a good test for both these teams as Oral Roberts just singles up the middle and gets on base. So we'll see.
You know, I go back to, I think it was last Friday, Oral Roberts at Oregon. Oral Roberts up 8-0, and I tweeted to you, wow, this team is legit. And then they shit themselves. And next thing you know, Oregon comes all the way back to win that game. But the mental toughness to get back off the mat and to win the next two, pretty impressive by Oral Roberts last weekend.
Yeah, 100%, because it's easy for the dog, the little darling Cinderella story, to compete their butts off, to make a couple big plays, get some upsets, but then inevitably they seem to always drop the ball. And Oral Roberts didn't. They proved that they were the better team in Eugene. I mean, they gritted it out. They pitched when they needed to pitch. They hit when they needed to hit and found ways to win. So, yeah, I mean, Oral Roberts deserves to be in Omaha right now. I would say even more so than Stanford, the way that they dropped that routine fly ball just to send Stanford on their way. Talking about Texas, obviously. But, yeah, it should be good as TCU just turned 2 to get out of it. So, there you go.
So for people that are just jumping in now on the Elite Eight, shout out to Connor. Connor, how are you today? Happy Friday. The weekend is here. Give us your thought process, your analysis on the 8 teams. You talked about Stanford, people that didn't watch. Tie ball game, bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, fly ball to the middle of no man's land, and 4 guys lost it in the lights, and Stanford goes on to win. So they're there. Oral Roberts, TCU going on as we speak now. Tonight, Virginia, Florida. Tomorrow, Stanford, Wake Forest, Tennessee, LSU. Give us a quick thought process on the Elite Eight.
So the main thing to remember is this is not a series like last weekend with the super regionals. This goes back to the regional format. So essentially take the 2 teams or the 2 brackets, both sides. All 8 teams will not play each other. It's going to be 4, which is Wake Forest, LSU, Stanford, and Tennessee in one bracket. They will play a regional round where it's double elimination between those 4, opposite of Florida, Virginia, Oral Roberts, TCU, and the other side. Once it gets down to 2 final teams, those 2 teams will meet in a national championship series. So you can lose a game and still fight back to win. Now you've got to play at least one more game than somebody that can win 3 and they're in. But you look at these pitching matchups, and some of them, I mean, you lose game 1 with your ace, you're probably done. And Stanford's one of those teams. Like last year, they went 0 for 2, went home. Year before that, they went 1 of 2, went home. Their pitching depth is going to get challenged. Yes, Quinn Matthews is phenomenal. He threw 156 pitches. Everybody knows about him now. But after that, who do you go to when you need to win? They've got the tough task of playing Rhett Lauder and Wake Forest, the best team in the country. So if they lose that game, they're probably 2 in barbecue. I mean, you can't throw Matt Scott or Joey Dixon out there and expect them to win between the winner of or the loser between LSU and Tennessee. Those bullpens, we've talked about LSU at nauseum, but Tennessee's got a bullpen where they could lose game 1 against Paul Skeens, which I likely think they do. But I would not be surprised if they still come back and are playing Wake Forest in the Final 4, so to speak, to put it in basketball terms, to go to that national championship series. Whereas
Now,
LSU, Stanford, they don't have the arms to play 4 games in a row to battle back if they lose.
156 pitches. Was never the same. They would not even think about giving them an extra day's rest and pitching them game 2. Were they wheeling them out for game 1?
I don't think you can afford to. You've got to win game 1 or you're going to be. So put it to you this way. If Paul Skeens, let's assume Paul Skeens beats Tennessee and Stanford pitches off Quinn Matthews to game 2 and you lose the Wake Forest game. Now you're going to go up against Chase Dolander, who was Tennessee's ace coming into the season and one of the best pitchers in college baseball, even though his numbers haven't been great this season. You're going to have to win that game. I don't like Stanford's odds I don't like Stanford's odds at all to get to the championship series. But if you don't win game 1, I think it's pretty obvious you're done. I mean, I don't think they're beating Tennessee.
Well, they're already on DraftKings Sportsbook as I'm looking at it. The Wake Forest minus 250, Stanford plus 200, and LSU's minus 220, and Tennessee plus 180 in the nightcap there. I mean, just based truly on the numbers, I get the thought process. Hey, we got to go ace to ace here. But just from a coaching mentality, you're probably not going to beat Wake Forest, and you're going to go down with your ace. Now you're in must-win, probably against potentially Tennessee. If not, obviously, a pretty pissed-off LSU team.
So I guess the caveat to that would be Wake Forest hasn't faced an elite pitcher in quite some time. You'd actually have to go back to like Dom Fritton with Louisville NC State earlier on in the season. And like Luke Holman did really good. He's a lefty. We were trying to get analytics on lefty versus righty because Wake Forest won that Alabama game 5-4 with Luke Holman on the mound. And Holman is a pretty decent lefty. Quinn Matthews is a lefty. So if there's any correlation there, I think Wake may struggle more going against Quinn Matthews to where Stanford could actually pull an upset versus saving him for Stanford. You're still going to go against Chase Dolander, which Rhett Lauder, Chase Dolander, they both have like a really good arsenal of pitches. They're both in like the 95 to 96 mile per hour fastball range. So they're very similar in pitching. So at that point, it's a coin flip. Do you want to try to beat Wake Forest, who really hasn't been challenged against elite pitching, or do you want to try to beat Tennessee, who's faced elite pitchers pretty much every weekend all season long? And again, I just don't think Stanford can afford to try to pitch off Quinn Matthews. You got to go all in with the horse, and Quinn Matthews, in my opinion, has to go tomorrow.
Is Tennessee playing the dog card? No one's given us the respect. They were the dream team last year, and now they're sitting here facing one of the best pitchers in the country, plus 180. I like them as a dog. Now, I know you don't go against Paul Skeens very often. I get that part of it. But for pure price, Tennessee looks pretty appetizing tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely make the case for it. The biggest thing for me is how deep does Paul Skeens go? Because if Tennessee can get after their bullpen or get after Skeens enough to get to their bullpen, I think they have a shot. And Lindsey's been good. Andrew Lindsey, the starter for Tennessee, in his new ace role. He's a sub-3 ERA guy. He's going to be able to keep it low scoring, I think. I like the under in that game a lot.
Well, set everyone up here. Oral Roberts, TCU going on now. Tonight, Virginia, Florida, as I said, currently on DraftKings. Florida minus 140, Virginia plus 110, and over under 10.5, juiced under minus 130. You can grab, actually, they're giving you some run lines today. Isn't that nice of them? You can grab Virginia plus a 1.5, minus 155, or Florida minus the 1.5, plus 125. Thoughts there?
I mean, I love the run lines. I think for dogs right now, for those that are new in college baseball or that have just picked it up here in the last couple months of us talking about it, these are going to be the games that are closest to emulating an MLB game. So if you think, okay, you've got an elite pitcher, like let's say Garrett Cole, just off the top of my head, and you're getting plus 1.5 with another guy like Dylan Cease. Like you're betting on, this being like a 4-3 type game at the end of it. Whereas in the regional and super regional round, you're getting like final scores of 20-5 and 17-6, stuff like that. So I don't think you're going to get a lot of wild, high scoring games like this. So this would be the time of the year where if you want to play run lines, I think there's some value in that. Like, I honestly think if you just blindly bet, and I'm going to keep up with it, but if you took every favorite on the money line and then every dog plus the 1.5, you're probably going to come out money ahead because I think we're going to have very tight games.
Tomorrow, Stanford, Wake Forest, as we said, Wake Forest minus 250, Stanford plus 200, over under of a flat 11, 115 both ways. Run lines, look at this one. Wake Forest minus a 1.5, minus 150, Stanford plus a 1.5, plus 120. And then the can't miss Tennessee, LSU minus 220, Tennessee plus 180, over under flat 9, 115 both ways. And then even the run lines here, LSU minus a 1.5, minus 120, or Tennessee plus a run and a half minus 110. And you do not see that very often that close. I mean, they're almost telling you, hey, take LSU in the money line, but we're not giving you any bonuses here, taking Tennessee plus the run and a half.
Yeah, I like LSU minus 1.5 if I had to pick like the best run line favorite on the board. I think LSU going against Lindsey, if you can get 7 or 8 innings out of Skeens, I think this is going to end up being like a 5-2, 5-1, 4-1 type game. I think it's going to be low scoring. The total dropping all the way down to 9 is one of the lowest I've seen in college baseball. Stanford Wake Forest is intriguing to me because the line just keeps going up. Stanford is 2-1 right now. And I mean, the Stanford coach in his press conference said, I would be surprised if Quinn Matthews doesn't go game 1. So, I mean, that right there is telling you he's going. That line's going to drop once it's announced. So if you like Stanford, I would grab Stanford plus 120 on the run line, plus 1.5. Just on the sheer fact, and I'm Wake Forest like through and through. I've already bet Wake Forest on the money line, minus 210. I've got like $500 worth of futures tickets on them. I want Wake Forest to win. But I think there's a lot of value on Stanford being if Quinn Matthews goes, if Wake struggles to hit the lefty, like that's almost disrespectful to Stanford. Like, I think a lot of recency bias, people may forget game 1 of that Alabama series. It was 5-4. Yeah, Wake blew the brakes off of them the next game, but Holman is a good pitcher. Quinn Matthews is a great pitcher. I don't know. I hate to bet against the Deeks, but I think there's a lot of value on Stanford right there. And grab it now because that line's going to move. And I also like the under, which you've already lost the hook. It was 11.5 last night. But I think when Quinn Matthews is announced tomorrow, Stanford's going to close about 165. And that total is going to be down to like 10.5. That's my prediction. So just grab it now. Especially if you've got a Wake Forest ticket.
That's where I was going. So for you that have been doing this all year, we've been doing shows all year for the most part. You've had future tickets from months and months and adding to the portfolio, subtracting, yada, yada, yada. People that want to get their whistles wet for this weekend and set themselves up for next week, how would you steer them?
So Wake Forest, if we've got it in Arkansas plus 260, which I tweeted out yesterday, I think there's still some value. Anything above plus 250, I think it would be worth having a ticket on Wake because you're not going to get them at a price any cheaper than I think minus 200 in any matchup. So take, like, say for instance, you throw $100 on them and just try to roll it over. Well, if they lose a game, you're done. I mean, you're out money, even if they came back and won it. And if you threw that same $100 on them plus 250 or plus 240, whatever it is at your book, now you kind of have some play in there because you know that they're going to be a heavy favorite every single time, where you could take and get plus money on Stanford plus 1.5 and still, they could play and win 5-4. You cash that and you still have your futures ticket on Wake. If they lose one, know that they've got the pitching staff to battle back. I mean, they've got 4 legitimate starters, 4 aces on any other team on their roster. They have Keener, Louder, Sullivan, Hartle, and their bullpen that combined for to average less than a 2.8 ERA. Like, it's unreal. I would want a piece of Wake Forest, hands down. But
so you got a piece of Wake Forest on the right side. Who's your piece on the left side?
I think it's got to be Virginia. I think that's the best value player out there. And Florida, look, I will not be surprised if Florida comes out and wins this game 10-0. It all depends on what Brandon Sproat shows up. But also, Florida got beat by Texas Tech at Condren Family Ballpark down in Gainesville, and Texas Tech's not good this year. So Florida is very capable of dropping, like having a dud performance, which is sad because they've got a MLB talent filled roster. But so that's why I'm saying I won't be surprised if Florida wins 10-0 because Wyatt Langford, BT Riopel, all these guys that are going to play in the major leagues, it's phenomenal. But at the end of the day, the Cavs have the pitching advantage. They have the hitting advantage. They've got the number one batting average, I think, in the field of 8. Virginia can get on base. They opened as a favorite. Now they're plus 110. So a lot of Florida money's come on, which is probably a lot of recency bias, given that, hey, Virginia, they lost one to Duke. Florida swept South Carolina, who's really good. Well, not really lately, but I don't know. I think the lines are getting a little out of hand for it being such a big stage. And again, going back to, you're not going to see a lot of high-scoring games. I think all these games are probably going to be under 12 runs.
Our third wheel here, Mr. Quinton, is live there because of the Florida Gators. And the fact is, how will he feel at the end of the weekend?
I think he'll feel fine because I think at the end of the day, it's going to be Virginia, Florida, I think, coming out of that in the Final Four. So those two teams are going to see each other again. And that's why I can't emphasize enough. Like, if Florida wins and, people come after me and say, oh, you said Virginia, blah, blah, blah. They're still in it. Like, going back to Tennessee, because it's the easiest example, they will be the best team coming out of the losers bracket between every field. If they lose to Paul Skeens, they are just fine. Like, that is not a big deal, because once that happens, Tennessee would now have the advantage over LSU. And I get that you can say, oh, well, how? Because LSU is going to be 1-0. Tennessee is going to be 0-1. Well, guess what? Tennessee is going to get to play Stanford without Quinn Matthews. Wake Forest is playing LSU with Josh Hartle versus Ty Floyd. So at the end of the day, both these teams are going to meet again, be 1-1. But guess who Tennessee is going to have? Drew Beam, their third best pitcher on staff. LSU is going to throw who? Riley Cooper, Christian Little. I don't know. These guys are all like in the 5s in ERA. Like, the pendulum swings super, super quickly for LSU after Paul Skeens. Ty Floyd's okay, but like, Paul Skeens is really the only guaranteed win that they have. Outside of that, like I put in the guide, I'd want no part in backing LSU after game 1.
So to the listeners here, we talked a little backstage. Virginia plus 450 and a Wake Forest plus 260 is where you could dive in this weekend and then probably get ready for next weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Next weekend, the championship series will start, I believe, Saturday or Monday. I think actually Saturday, Sunday, Monday is when they play. So you'll have a pretty good idea, I would say, by about Wednesday. There is a day break in there. I think it's the 23rd. There aren't any games to give everybody a break. So by like Tuesday, Wednesday, I think we'll be narrowed down to the Final Four. So at that point, I would imagine Wake at any sort of plus money, if they're still alive, that's going to be gone. And I think Virginia will probably, their number will be cut by at least half, maybe a third or 2/3. So if you want a futures ticket to sit out there, I know FanDuel's hung some lines of exacta series matchups. There's some value in that. I think taking like a Wake Forest, Florida at plus 500 or 550, and then Wake, Virginia at plus 700. And then I think you can get Tennessee, Florida at like plus 1100. I mean, just, have some fun with it if you just really want some action on futures. But at the end of the day, I think the final four teams, and do this, bet it however you want. I think the final four are going to be Virginia, Florida, Wake, Tennessee.
And that would so this weekend will take us to the Final Four. Is that correct? Or we're going to have the final two for next week?
So they'll have the loser of Oral Roberts, TCU, Florida, Virginia. I think they'll play Sunday. The loser of Wake Forest, Stanford, Tennessee, LSU, they'll play Sunday or Monday. And so by Monday, we'll have two eliminated, two teams. So we'll be down to 6. Then the winners, I'm going to have to look it up. You wasn't prepared to answer that question. But I think by Wednesday, you'll have all 4 eliminated. And and that's kind of where the tricky part is. They'll be, depending on who wins, some teams can go 2-0 and be in the driver's seat, where now the losers bracket team would have to come back and try to beat them twice. So it would extend the series. But if you go 3-0, you're in the championship series.
Shout out to Mr. Shady as he's just offering his stellar UFC advice here. Bondar minus
UFC advice.
Bondar minus 130, 209. Duncan minus 152. I'm probably messing this up, Shady. I apologize. 360. Canair 105, 209. These are the lines still available. Thank you as always, Mr. Shady. Matt, as we wrap this up, it's been an amazing season. We still will have another show next Friday, correct? We'll be able to get the Final Four ready for you then?
Yep.
All right.
That will start on Saturday, so that'll be perfect.
And you are not going to take a quick – if Florida's still standing, the question is, when does Q come back?
Coming home. I think he's coming home Sunday. I told him he needed to stay. He needed to stay for the brand, grow the brand out there. I sent him a hat. I don't think he's going to do it though. He said his wife wants him to come home Sunday.
Hey, happy wife, happy life. We know that. So,
absolutely.
The scroll has been going the whole time. Please, please, please go to Twitter. Follow Matt. You can go follow him at Grissom Tweets. You can also follow at NCAA Insiders. Quentin, I'm even linking it up here for him at Q Millie and at Notebook Wager 1. It's going to be a great, great weekend for sure. I can't thank you enough for these shows. We're here to help, educate, build the brand. There's nothing better than college baseball, Matt.
I know. College sports in general. I love it. And we kind of tease that, changing it to NCAA Insiders so we can keep this thing going through football and basketball. But being from Arkansas, not having a pro team, college was what I followed religiously. So I absolutely love college sports, college athletics, and the fact that we've got NIL now, I think it's just going to continue to improve it, make things, more fluid as far as like betting on it with like it is kind of in NFL and MLB, where you're going to get more and more people contributing. So stats and everything, the exposure gets out there. So I'm excited to see it grow. And what Q and I have been able to do so far, I'm tickled to death with just the attention we've gotten so far. It's been awesome. I'm glad that we can make a difference in some people's betting lives and just try to provide an overall advantage when it comes to finding out stats that you can't find anywhere else. So that's why we did it. Hopefully we can continue it and into football and keep making people some money.
Well, we will meet up again next Friday at 2:00, and then we're going to give you a little summer vacation, and then we'll circle back the wagons in late August so you can get us ready for some SEC football. And then obviously November 1st, my calendar is already circled. That's when the NCAA basketball starts, and there's a team from UConn that has a title to defend. So I know you'll have a lot to say there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'll have about a 2-week vacation, and then we'll dive into college football.
Go follow him, Matt Grissom, at Grissom Tweets, at NCAA Insiders. And even though Q's in Omaha, go follow Q at Q Millie at Notebook Wager. I want to thank everyone here, Mr. Shady, Connor, everyone else watching. Enjoy the college baseball. The Elite Eight is on. Virginia, Florida tonight, going to be a barn burner. And tomorrow, Stanford, Wake Forest, Tennessee, LSU. And right now, Oral Roberts, any score, Oral Roberts, TCU?
Nope, still riding the under train. 0-0, bottom of the second.
There you go.
TCU does have a runner on first, though, so we'll see. But like I said, I like the unders.
Grab the unders, grab the plus on the run lines, and enjoy. So everyone, have a great afternoon. Weekends here. Behave yourself. See you soon.